Back again for another video. On today's topic, we'll be keeping up with the trend of the projections, and we'll go further down the rabbit hole of understanding how these things work via the explanation that I provide here, of course. But today's topic will be about the stronger and weaker projections. I'm probably going to name it something different, but we'll just go with that for now, because this is really off the top of the head. I didn't really even think about it that seriously. But anyways, if you've been following along this week in regards to the videos that I have been making, then all of these things should come as no surprise to you in regards to some of the things that I have to say. Though I think my audience likes to hear the things I have to say because they are very reaffirming. So I am here to affirm the things that you probably already know and understand. But of course, give my own personal take on these things and express to you the fundamental understandings of how these things work. So anyway, if you recall in my videos, I've said a few times that, as these previous videos here that deal with projection, I said a few times that the only time that the individual's projection can be overridden is by either the collective consciousness or by an individual who they allow to project over their own reality more so than they do themselves. So I'm here to talk about the latter of the two, because I think we generally understand that the collective consciousness is stronger than the individual consciousness in regards to projecting a larger reality that the individual can, right? So I don't think that needs to be explained very much. It's very straightforward. But where I want to go with this, I think we'll start with women, of course. I think that's where we'll start, because men, we have a generalized understanding of this, but I think I need to go from bottom up instead of top down, because top down would be me explaining men's portion first. But bottom up, let's go for it. So once again, I express the understanding that, or the communication that, women project the reality that they experience and they react to such. But there's a catch to this, and this is the reason why women were handed off to other men in regards to marriage and things like that. It's because the ability to project stays within the umbrella of a man. Because anytime that a woman gets by herself and she's not with a man, if she doesn't have principalities passed down to her by men in her life via her father, maybe her male family members or something like that, male mentor, she doesn't have a grasp on the reality a lot of times. And that doesn't necessarily mean that she's crazy. It just means that some of the things that she comes up with and she assumes are not in congruency with what the reality actually is. Men are more grounded to the reality than women are. This is once again why women are great at telling fictional stories. They're great at making fictional novels and stuff like this. They're excellent at it because they're able to create these worlds that don't readily exist. But likewise, it is a downfall for them as well, because they become victim to the own projection, like I've said, that they create themselves, and they react to it as though it's actually real. Men help women keep themselves grounded in this. This is the reason why a woman was handed over to a man all the time, so it can remain balanced. Because the problem that men have is almost complete opposite, is that we are too grounded in the reality, and we don't, how can I put it? It's not that we don't have the ability to create and fantasize. It's just that our imagination is cut shorter than what it should be. And when women help promote that in our lives, they help us to let go of the reality a little bit and have fun in the intangible existence. That's what women offer. They offer a fantasy, right? I recently asked a woman on my channel, and she's probably listening to this, does she fantasize, because she was making up all these things from her intangible world, because obviously these things she can't check to see if they actually tangibly happen. But nonetheless, she created a fantasy world that involved some things actually happening. She talked to me as though these things actually happen. This is real talk. If you actually look through my comment sections for a few videos, you'll see this woman that I'm talking about, and the rhetoric that she was using in order to describe the interaction that she believed happened, but she has no proof of. But she believes it happened, and she talks as though it happened, and she's reacting as though it's happening. But nonetheless, the key point that I want to make here is that a projection is different from a fantasy. A fantasy is something that you dream about, something that you are very wanting in your life. It's more of an inflated existence of a desire, whereas a projection comes from the lens of your perception, from your inner being, from your inner consciousness, and is projected through that. And it doesn't matter what's in your inner being. Sometimes, once again, the things that you may not enjoy come from within your inner being, and therefore they're projected onto the screen that is completely blank once again, and you're starting to see these images play out before you as though this is a reality that you're reacting to, but not realizing that this is a reality that you are projecting from yourself. But anyways, and I think I want to go on a little bit more in depth about that. I think I might do that at the end of the video, so we'll see. The whole idea of projecting and how it plays against the collective consciousness. I think I need to define that a little bit more, because I don't want to sound too confusing with the rhetoric that I'm giving here. But anyways, she assumed that something happened that she can't prove, right? She lacks the ability to fantasize. She said she didn't know what a fantasy was, and she said that she didn't have fantasies and stuff like this, because her life is probably full of projections. You can't usually have both. It's almost like trying to play two different movies on the same projector. You can't fantasize and project at the same time. That's what I notice anyways. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe women can do that. Because it's almost like that's asking men to build two buildings at once. We are limited in our ability to create. And just as such as a man is limited in his ability to create in the physical world, a woman is limited in her ability to create in the tangible world. She can't do two things at once. So anyway, that's just an example of how a man keeps a woman grounded, and the difference between a fantasy world and a projection. She doesn't have the ability to project, to fantasize in that way. It was nothing but a projection. That is the definitive difference between the two, is a desire versus an internal outward expression of what one believes the reality to be. That is the difference. That's the reason why men are important here. Because women, in their own world, in their own world, and then this is the part that I think I want to explain. So yes, there is a collective consciousness, right? There is this world. Once again, we know where Walmart is. It's going to be there unless something is agreed upon by a majority of people for the possibilities in which it exists. And people would say that's strange, but that's just the way I look at the world. And other things, like I said, if you look into it, correlate with what I'm saying here. But once again, we know where the post office is. We know where all these places are because there are fixed positions in the collective consciousness of the people, right? But there's specifics to this. There's specifics to this. For instance, if I were to, and this is no one can defeat your own reality within yourself that you project. No one can defeat that. The only time that your reality gets broken down into closer to what the reality is, against the collective consciousness, is if you allow it to. And this is no different than someone coming into your life who is projecting a reality that is different from the one that you want to be projected, or the one that you understand. It's because you allowed them to do this. They came into your consciousness and they are projecting these things. This comes by persuasion, coercion, many different tactics, but nonetheless, the person is ultimately let into their consciousness, and this is what gets projected. You have your individual consciousness, and no one can get in without you letting them in. No dysfunctions can get in. No disagreements can get in. No contradictions can get in. No nothing can get in. This is the reason why we say that it is important for you, especially as men, for you as a man, to work on yourself, because working on yourself isn't just an outward expression. It is also building up the inside of you, so that when you actually project things, the reality that you're projecting is exactly what you wanted to do. It's almost like if I were to build within my consciousness the confidence that I have, and I have done that, because remember, I was the one who looked in the mirror, right? And I continue to build upon that, but this is an internal thing. It isn't based on what I'm actually doing. It's something that I have to believe in first. There are plenty of people who are very good at some things and a lot of things. They're these people that are good at many things that they do, but they lack the confidence. Therefore, it doesn't exist in their reality. Even though that you can see that they're good at something, if they don't believe it, it doesn't exist in them. This is no different than you believing something that doesn't exist yet. You can actually manifest these things through yourself, because just like I just said here, if you don't believe something to be true, it will not exist in your immediate reality. The only time that it will become true is if you allow the collective consciousness, or a higher consciousness than yours, to project through you, because you have to let them in, to project through you in order to get you to see something that you didn't see before. Right. It is basically putting people on game, right? That's what we call it, pulling the coattails. That's what I call it anyways. And this is what men offer, but we have to have this within ourselves first. Men are the closest ones to having a grounding to the collective consciousness and to the reality than women are. Women are the individuals here. And that may sound strange to say, because we don't generally differentiate the social structure. We mostly associate the social structure with women than men. But the thing is, this is a physical world, and without words, which are physical as well, there is no social structure, right? That's the reason why men are more closer to these things than women are in regards to the infrastructure of these things, not the integral workings of these things. The women, they govern that, and they do way better at that than the men do, because we don't care necessarily about it. We built Facebook and have at it. We built Instagram and have at it. We build the infrastructure for these platforms of communication. But as far as how they're ran socially, YouTube has its guidelines, but they're not telling you necessarily what you can talk about and how you should formulate your social expression. And women, nobody cares about that stuff. But women, like I said, the women are the individuals here. They're the ones who are pushing the actual narratives in the social world. Men, we are starting to get into that world, just as I am here now expressing my social understanding about how projection works. So we're gaining some foothold, but we are way behind. I don't think there's a man here that would disagree with that. But we're doing our jobs. We're here. But anyways, men are the ones who keep women grounded from flying off. We said that plenty of times, but the reason why we can put them grounded, just think about it. Let's say that the confidence, the leadership, the understanding, the discipline, let's say that all that has a weight to it, right? And you put it within yourself. So when you project it out, you project heavy things, because all this stuff that you put in yourself has a weight to it, and you project heavy things. Whereas a woman, she projects very light things. These are things that can just, the wind blows and you're floating away, because that's how a lot of women are. They end up in these situations where they start to say, I've literally been able to hear a woman's thoughts. And I can't say that it was physically, but I've sat next to women and I can hear the how can I put it, the course of where their mind was going. It was almost like it was rapid succession type stuff. It was like, if he went to the store, he probably talked to a chick. If he talked to a chick, he probably got her number. If he probably got her number, he probably set up a date. If he set up a date, that means he likes her. And if he likes her, that means he doesn't like me. What's wrong with me? Like, that's what I was hearing. Because guess what? The stuff that she put on herself was not heavy enough to ground her to the reality. So when something small, such as the wind, the idea, blows up against her, she flies off into the air. And all these unrealistic notions start to take her higher and higher into the atmosphere of the intangible world. And she is far away from the ground when it comes to the actual reality. Once again, that's where men come in, because we put these heavy objects within ourselves and we build ourselves within. So when we project over her consciousness, because we have to be stronger than her, otherwise it does not work. That's the reason why simps are highly sought after by so-called dominant women, is because they can project the consciousness that is heavier, even no matter how light it may be, that is heavier than what the simp will project in her life. That's the reason why they pick those types of men. But when they deal with the actual men, they understand that they lose themselves, remember, quote unquote, lose themselves in this man's consciousness. No, you didn't lose yourself. You just became a part of it. That's all it is. You're still there. Believe me, you're still there. You never changed, but let women tell it. They lost themselves and they don't know who they are anymore. I don't know who I am. But anyways, that's not true. You know exactly who you are, and you never forgot who you are, because you know exactly where you came from. It's just that you don't understand where you're going because you don't have the wheel of the consciousness here, meaning that the man is in the driver's seat. And most women who are trying to be dominant, who are trying to be masculine, do not like that. They don't like a man who can project over their consciousness. That's the reason why they don't deal with them. They always want to be in charge due to their insecurities and fears. That's where it comes from. But little do they know, that's exactly what they need, because obviously they're insecure about something and they fear something. That's coming from their own consciousness, because once again, the projection that they understand, the projection that they react to comes from their consciousness. So the things that they fear, the things that they're insecure of are from within themselves. So yes, you need a man who has a higher consciousness, and you should submit under that consciousness, so that when the projection starts, you can encapsulate yourself in the consciousness of this man, and therefore ward off those thoughts of insecurity and those thoughts of fear, because in his consciousness, those things probably don't even exist. The more and more you envelop yourself in this man's consciousness, the less and less the things that you project that you didn't like in your life will be prevalent. That's how this works. But women, they seem to think that they know so much, but here I am. I'm talking a metaphysical existence here. I'm talking a very esoteric existence. The average woman, I would say this stuff to her and it would completely make sense, or not. Maybe not. I don't know. But either way, it's something that she can't argue, because it's either you understand it and you don't. It's either you understand it or you don't. If you understand it, you're not going to disagree with it. And if you don't understand it, you can't disagree with it. Right? I always play a game of catch-22 with chicks. I don't ever give them the opportunity to feel like they won against me. And this is not to make sure that I keep them down or something like that per se, but it's because I am projecting the higher consciousness always. Even with my last submissive, she said to me, I don't recall a time where I had to be concerned about anything. She got to a point where she was so enveloped and encapsulated in my reality in the one that I was projecting, that she realized in retrospect that the things that she once was concerned about, she had no more concern over. She understood that the things that I projected were of higher quality and they were consistent in my reality. Therefore, she had no worries. She had no concerns. The only concern that she had were pretty much trivial things. It wasn't like she was concerned about going without. She was concerned about being neglected in any kind of way. She wasn't concerned about any of those things. You know, she told me one time, she was like, you know, through these whole circumstances that we've been through, I never really had to worry about anything. And she was saying it kind of like in a kind of way. And I was like, yes, I understand that. I know that. The reason why is because this environment that you enjoy comes from within me. If I allowed you to project over me, then this environment would be a bit more chaotic than what it is. It would be a bit more unstable, but it will be familiar to you. That's another thing that I might talk about in the future as well, because women sometimes get accustomed to their own projection, and when they get under a healthy projection, they sometimes fight against it because it does not represent something that they're used to, no matter how dysfunctional their projection may be that they are used to. There's another topic that I want to go over as well, and this is probably going to be tomorrow's topic. I don't know, because, you know, once again, I kind of shoot off the hip for this, and I don't plan anything. So, but I want to think about it a little bit more, and I think I'm going to, of course. And I think tomorrow's topic will be about the women, why women desire simps, because of the same reason of projection, because they want to be in charge. They want to be able to project over a man because they're insecure about the abilities of men. But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. I am getting just a little bit better. It seems like I'm sick all the time. Geez, from allergies to flus to this and that. No, I can't get a break. But anyways, this has been the Wolf and Beta Close. May you have a good day. Don't get sick. And of course, peace be with you.